We're live right now, gentlemen.
Let me
Wow.
just
This is no,
position.
yeah, this is no fake. It's real. It's happening, or
Yeah.
so your ears tell you.
Oh, love the.
But can you really believe him nowadays?
You can't. You
Can you
can't
trust
Ears,
your
because
your
senses?
eyes.
we wanted today to talk about deep fakes, which is like a bigger. I think it's a part of a bigger subject of artificial intelligence in CG and in creation in general. And I just watched the Corridor crew making the um, deep fake
Tom Cruise.
of Tom Cruise. Yeah, it was crazy. And at some point, one of these guys said that there is no deep fake for voice yet, and there is. And you can check on YouTube. There is that the guy who's called, his name is Peel. He had this show K and Peel, and he's a host of
Ian Peel.
some, yeah, K and Peel. So this is
Yeah, yeah,
the Peel guy, this
yeah.
shorter guy, and he's a host of Photoshop of Adobe presentation of some deep faking voice creation, which is
What?
made by Adobe, by the way. And yeah, and
Really?
it's crazy. It's crazy. It's it's basically based on the information from a recording. They could put together a sentence which he never said in a way that he's talking in terms of his accent, his voice, his
My God, guys,
stuff.
you know what that means? Like,
Yeah, it's
think
even
of
worse.
all of the marketing meetings we'll never have to attend again.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm just
especially
kidding.
especially that what more I so I was doing this research on deepfakes, and also there is a YouTube video where some guys took Donald Trump like public
Speech.
speeches, and
Uh,
artificial intelligence analyzed it. Which, I mean, this is like it, already it's like complete like chaos, but artificial intelligence analyzed it and then produced new speeches for him with like from 0 to 5 level of craziness of how random it is.
no,
So
but
it's
I
like
mean, like,
two.
but these are like they're. You mean it's capable of not just controlling, like changing your voice or like replicating your voice, but stringing together an intelligible like sentence with based
Yeah, I
on
mean,
word patterns. What?
yes, I mean, you as a human, you are deciding if this is that sounds good or not. So probably it's like there's that human validation part in the learning where we say, okay, that sounds good or that looks good or not, and
No, but I mean it's grammatically like the sentence structure is correct, the grammar is correct, like it's an actual sentence that makes.
yeah. I mean, from on this 0 point, it's already Donald Trump crazy speech,
Yeah.
but it's correct. It's like at level 5,
What?
new words start to be created, like which sound also
No.
kind of Donald D. Trumpy kind of. But now I
Yeah.
thought, take his take you can like skip some meetings with the voice generator, but you can take like artificial intelligence will make a research for you, and you are going to just throw like a random sentences of I don't know, whatever the subject is, and here you have it.
That is
There are like,
crazy.
No more chit chat.
This is Adobe.
yeah,
The
This is
AI
Adobe
will do it for you.
Voice. Is this what your Adobe
vocal.
Voice?
It's called vocal. Adobe. If you put like Adobe Audio Manipulator sneak peek with Jordan Peele, and this is the effect is very creepy. I mean, I can see that this is. I think he wasn't ready for he really saw it working in real time. And when I first saw it, it was like, I mean, this is the first time when you see like a new technology, and usually it's like, well, this is danger here and there, but here are the positive sides of it. And when I saw it, I could only see the negative ones. I mean, I couldn't really come up with a way of using it in a positive way, like maybe 5% of positive uses against 95 of negative uses from just, not very, like, spontaneous fakes of some celebrities just for fun, let's say, quote unquote, to just strategic disinformation on the level of governments. So yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, it seems like
Dude.
seems like it's all the work of faking it more real all the time, but but to some extent it's kind of like hyping all the time just a new technology doing it better, but the idea is like nothing new. It's all the time disinformation and illusion. That's been around media like from the very birth of it. Like it's been found to be used that way. So I'm not sure if we're kind of like not overreacting right now because we are so attached to the media and like treating it too seriously to some extent, or maybe maybe the masses are more connected right now than they have been before.
No,
But if
but I
you
think I
recall,
should point
but
out
if you
that
recall
like I'm
the
looking at
TV
the
era,
uh-huh. Sorry, no, so
yeah,
but
and
it just seems like
War of Worlds stuff and stuff like that,
yeah,
that
but
our
so you don't like
generation of our parents
yeah.
experiences or so.
Uh-huh. I don't know, but I think it's apparently like they aren't going to release it to the public because of exactly what you're saying, like the ramifications.
I'm not sure. I think it will leak anyway.
Sooner or later, somebody
It
will do
already
it.
yeah, at some level it's already accessible. Yeah, I've just made a research, like these apps that are appearing of changing faces. It's just released for fun. But I wanted to try to test it, and I had an afterthought when I downloaded the app, and I thought, damn, I'll just release my face to some company's database, and they will do whatever they want with it later on. Just you just have to trust their kind of like
Yeah.
privacy policy. But anyway, then I thought, well, I already kind of like am in the system to such a level. You're being if you're publishing anything on YouTube or wherever on the web, on Facebook, wherever, your face is all over the web already. So kind of like giving just another photo is not a big step. You're already kind of like full in.
Yeah.
And
So if you kind of want to avoid the system, you'd have to probably dig yourself a nice shelter somewhere
live in the desert, yeah, be super none.
somewhere
No, I mean
very deep in the reptilian cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like personally, I think that like it's always been like a belief of mine to kind of stay like there are times when like being part of the grid totally like is beneficial and even a good thing, but it doesn't mean that you have to completely be like I still till now like not meaning any offense yet to like social media, but I don't really see the point in kind of voicing out my daily musings on some social media platform. Like I mean it kind of just opens you up to too much I don't know. I mean like they're like just I guess personally like there are journals for that if you really have to like let something out.
It's kind of blurring the thin line between the private and the public. Yeah, I think that's your point. Yeah, because that's the way I started like mostly treating social media from some time ago. Like treating this mostly like business wise, so that it's kind of like your official side of.
Right, yeah. Which I think was supposed to be. I mean, if there's any truth to like the social network movie, right? I mean, at least that's what Facebook was supposed to be for in the beginning. Like it was meant as a sort of networking, like a platform, like a campus specific networking platform. I'm not sure, but yeah, damn,
Kind
that's
of like the whole World Wide Web, just an academic
yeah,
thing, and then turned into something much more impactful on the society.
yeah.
But yeah, but this has turned already to some kind of like a wet dream of some Secret Service guy who worked
Yeah.
in the who worked
Yeah.
in the past decades, and he was just like collecting all the information with all these techniques, old-fashioned techniques, and right now they're just on the plate
Yeah.
for your kind of database analysis algorithms, big data and stuff like that.
Recently, I saw somewhere there's a like intelligence museum, like espionage museum. I think in Israel or in I think somewhere there, because there was like a lot of a lot of technology and gear of spies which was collected on the way. So there was like this all fake mustache where you had like a camera and stuff like that, and it looked well, it looked very creepy, but also it was, for these times, it was very smart, and it was put together with to make it possible to get some data without being noticed. But now when you look at it, all this stuff is just normal. Today a teenager has access to all of that stuff with his normal phone, or your grandma. So back then it was only reserved for very specialized services.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's no, it's not even up for debate whether we're sort of digging ourselves in the ditch, when it comes to sort of like the sort of technology that we have available. That's very, I mean, I think we're like at a level of voyeurism that's like an unprecedented level of like voyeurism now. I mean, everybody just willingly kind of exposes themselves to the public. But then, and I guess like on one hand that kind of builds a bigger sense of like solidarity, I suppose. Like people actually sort of feel like more connected, and that's a great thing for sure. But it also seems like, I don't know, like it also feels like there is no real, like we don't really know, like we try to, like there's no, we become so accustomed to it, like, and as the generations go by, we'll forget that there was a line that had to be drawn in the first place, and then we'll just end up, we'll end like our kids as grandkids might be totally cool with having zero privacy, and not even think that it was a, I don't know. It is
like,
weird and kind of very scary.
When you are exposed slowly and from a very young age, it's like this stuff with hermit, I think, or like it's boiled very long and slowly. It doesn't notice. It's not hermit. It's different. It's like a crab, I think, something like that. It doesn't notice. It doesn't notice all of that. So So, but also I thought about what you, DJ, said, that maybe we are overreacting and this is something new, but this is like, if you can put together recording of your voice which sounds really like your voice on like this deeper level, then we stop to treat the recording of voice as a document, and the same way is with the image. So at some point the only way will be to stop believe. I mean, the pictures already have lost this quality. And for example, I talked with my friend. He's a professional photographer, and he works in media. And there was like somebody sent a picture to some news competition, and it was somebody other noticed that it was photo manipulated, and it was the idea of this photo was had to be the photo had to be manipulated to show this non-existing event of a lot of birds in one place. And
Okay.
and he then he also, we talked about other pictures like moving a soldier on a mission a little bit left for a better composition, or
Mm-hmm.
taking him from a different picture and putting in a new picture, but they were more or less in the same time, the same place. So, and he
Yeah.
said that's okay for him. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine if this is okay for you, because this is the photo how it's called, this form of photography. It's like photo relation, like something like that. And he said that this is like that form of art and form of communication encapsulates this kind of modifications. But I thought, okay, that's fine, but only if you will tell the observer, the person who is watching these pictures, that they were manipulated, because you were kind of skipping the part of the fact that you hope that people will think that it really happened exactly the way as on the picture, when
Yeah.
it didn't. And this is where you are kind of
Ah.
trying to win the competition with others, because you
Yeah.
made that picture, others made that picture in that exact moment. It was like the very key moment of some bigger situation, and it was their talent and work to do this. And so the whole trick is not in the fact that you are just you are manipulating with this photo. The whole trick is about the fact that you are not telling people, and you are basing your success of this photo on the fact that they assume that it's not photo manipulated, that this assumption. And it looks like a much more difficult to do, and it's like much more
Right. Because
exceptional.
because
some
you're supposed to be able to take like the standard is for you for this you're saying for this particular I don't know, sub branch of photography, the merit behind it lies in you being able to sort of situate yourself in the middle of a compelling event and take a raw photograph that is both like compositionally gripping, but also sort of like journalistic, in the sense that you you like a lot of its value is the fact that you were physically there in the middle of it, and capturing like this reality, like through the lens of your, I don't know, like your impromptu composition skills, which is like a very like that's a very difficult thing to do. And that's
Like photographic reportage, or I don't know how to call
yes,
it.
photojournalism.
Document.
Wouldn't that be like,
photojournalism, yeah.
yeah,
And of course, not even saying about the information part of it. Like people expect that the photojournalism is giving them some information. So if you give up the information part, but because that didn't happen exactly that way, to the art part, or like
you're in effect you're sensationalizing the photo, which should have been a photojournalistic photo, right? Which is kind of not too different from how the written word is sensationalized. Like language is so ambiguous. Like you could phrase something in a certain way, without even having to use like adjectives or, but you just word something in a particular way, and you're already, sort of like in a legal but sneaky way, you're already implying sort of a tone, right? Like
Mhm.
like you can say, well, I don't know if I can come up with an example on the spot, but you could kind of say something. You could say like, uh, I don't know, like I don't know, like you could sort of, uh,
But you know what? When it comes to the words, when it comes to the words, you need to really trust the author,
yeah,
because he can say whatever he wants. So
yeah,
he can make up the story. So this is the point of trust to the author, and
huh,
maybe and not the media, because the media is completely possible. It's completely goes through the author. There's no technology which makes it more objective, and you cannot manipulate it as much. And for example, in Poland there was a very famous famous journalist, Ryszard Kapuściński, and
huh,
he wrote a lot of documentary books, and I read some of them, and they're like in this golden history of writing, of reporting, and they were very very interesting books. But especially recently, it became more well known that they were very much, I mean, they were to much bigger part made up than anybody thought. And now they were so basically he was kind of watching the situation abroad somewhere, and they were like this kind of deep uh, um, stories about some very far away countries and places, and he observed some stuff, and then he kind of made up the real story based on the stuff he saw there, like put together more of the situations. And I think that at some point, I think he crossed the line of really being journalist. It
yeah,
was more of a fiction, which was very true fiction, but fiction.
yeah,
And yeah, and again, there was a discussion: is it okay or not? And the not okay part was that, yeah, this is in this situation, it's more difficult to just say, hey, this is what I wrote based on my experience in some place, but this is not what really happened. And so he went from the reality to fiction. And yeah, people, I think, thought that this is really how it was. And for example, it was not very complimenting to the people who lived there. And
I see.
also, it's but on the other hand, recently Polish writer Olga Tokarczuk, she got the Nobel Prize, and she was talking exactly like the same thing, but from the different point. So she
Right,
went from fiction to to some kind of journalism, like
like
there is,
nonfiction.
yes, to nonfiction, in terms of like she said that it is for her like a sign of being not mature enough. When a lot of people ask her, is it the way it really happened? And she said this is a bad question, because she said that this is like people don't want to listen to the storytelling anymore because they need to know. But somehow I understand it, but I also somehow I don't know how I understand that question. Did it really happen? I mean, there's like a um, uh, part of the stories which we know if they really happened or not, because we are kind of building, based on that, we are building a kind of map of reality. And this is not
Mm-hmm.
only this is not only for fun. This is important part of survival. So so if this has really happened, it's the question like, should I? So if this really happened, how would I behave? And in future, I will be in the similar situation. How I am going to behave? So yeah. So if this is false, like then the shared experience is false. It can be funny, but maybe you can wonder what if. But this is not real like lesson in terms of like this hard lesson. So what if somebody told you that photo camera works in a different way than it really works, just for fun of storytelling, and you didn't know that? Uh,
Yeah.
there is going to be a moment in future when you can be in trouble. Let's say, but let's say not photo camera, but let's say how the boat or bow and arrows work, or stuff like
Yeah.
that, or there is
Yeah.
something real like danger somewhere there, or what
No,
to do with the
totally. Like,
snake. Yeah,
I actually like if we could go back to the the photo camera, uh, like the photo camera thing. Like, there's like I have this interesting uh sort of bit of trivia. Like, some when I would travel to like the more rural areas here, like the mountain provinces or some of the islands. Like, I remember one time we wanted to take pictures with some of the indigenous people that were there, like the old tribes that or the old ethnic groups that that really kept to their traditional ways. So um but then like the guide kind of uh told us not to do it because they had like they believed that sort of the camera and similar devices, like to be depicted, like is like having your soul stolen from you or something like that, like
yeah,
which and that's an interesting, I mean, like, obviously, like, clearly that's not how a camera works, but and yeah, it's interesting that you like it kind of, you could, if you if just imagine yourself as one of uh like as having grown up in a community like that, and then let's say that like you were walking down the road and some sort of wayward like tourist or whatever just kind of sees you and decides to take a selfie with you in it, and like what, like that could really, I mean, if you really believe that like your soul was going to be stolen from you, I mean, who knows what you do, right? And then like who knows what sort of trouble might come from that
yeah,
sort of misinformation. So yeah, that's true. But then, I mean, I think that also sort of uh, from what I got, at least I think from that Nobel Prize winning writer you mentioned, um, it just see like, and this could just be a wrong interpretation, but like I kind of agree that like to kind of insist that everything be explained as it really happened is too much to ask from from uh like a human being. Like, I think that like we have like the technology now, like if on video surveillance, like you see something happen, uh and it's enough, and it's like there's no room for doubt or speculation as to what happened, then that like that's probably the only way you could actually um
well, I
ever
think that
really
was
receive something news of something the way it happened. I mean, we're like a living filter of
yeah,
like with like our we all kind of perceive things in like through different lenses out of like our psychological conditioning, like growing up, our our cultural, like values, whatever, like all of these things influence like how we might um look at something and then like to relay it from in writing or by word of mouth without any like critical thought behind it will inevitably be like super like some one kind of propaganda or another. So I think like it's really more of like we have to accept that like there will always be um some sort of like you can't really fight ambiguity or sensationalism in anything. And coming from um like from in defense of like somebody who would sort of kind of manipulate a photo uh to get like a better compositional, like to get a more compelling image. I mean, that's dangerous stuff, but that's also really uh powerful stuff, and that's sort of like the like what why sort of we do what we do. So it's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
it's
in
it's
terms,
it's like you should probably like I think it's important that mm, everybody accepts, like especially today, that the same way we have more information afforded to us in different ways, that should also like kind of prompt us to be more critical in the way we take in this information.
yeah, I mean, we assumed that this kind of technology is more more like falsification proof, because it's like hard technology and the process. And now the more often it's going to happen, the less people are going to believe any kind of documentary, like visual or this sound type. And
Yeah.
finally it will be more about believing a person who is giving you this information. So it will be, you will have to trust less technology and more the author of
Yeah.
this
Which
and
will
yeah.
also kind of make the people, so so let's say, like, for example, let's think about like YouTube, like 2040, like it's not YouTube, or like whatever similar platform there is out there, um like everybody knows there's all this information, everybody knows anybody could like relay this information. So sort of people kind of trust like providers of information who have proven themselves to be like reliable and like trustworthy and as objective and as honest as possible, right? And so um, because everybody in that field wants to be sort of the authority anyway, like wants to be the one who's trustworthy, then everyone is going to have to inevitably be the most trustworthy they can be to get to be, so that they get the like the validation they need from their audience. The same way like everybody now um has to be more politically correct, but also, I mean, you also kind of, I suppose, like if you grew up in the 90s, um like your perception of being like you're being politically correct in today's age is more of a deference to like how, like, yeah, like conceptually it is the right thing to do to an extent. Like I like it, nobody has to kind of like be an asshole just for the sake of being an asshole, and it isn't funny to be an asshole anymore, right? But and that's great. But then like we like coming from like the 90s schoolyards or wherever, like you kind of like you weren't exposed to this sort of environment, so like what dynamic comes out of, like how it was like when things were less politically correct,
Yeah,
when people could make like racial slurs on TV or all sorts of things, like, or when homophobia was like just like a thing. Nobody kind of got condemned for being homophobic or whatever. But and now they are, and so like on one hand, like you have to check yourself, but then you're also kind of appreciative of the fact that, hey, this is kind of like a better world, all things considered. But to somebody like to a kid like growing up here now, like they don't know the alternative. Like to them it would be absolutely like if you were in a private party today with like somebody who is of this generation, and then you being like from an older generation, and somebody makes a joke about like a really like inappropriate, like politically incorrect joke, like maybe it was slightly I don't know, like whatever, chauvinistic, racist, whatever, but like you would your reaction as an older person would be very different from the reaction of somebody who had grown up in this environment. Like somebody who had grown up in this environment is more likely to be like wow, how could you say something like that? That's like super awful. Versus somebody's like, oh man, like you shouldn't have said that. Like that's I mean that sucks, but it's not like you're not that appalled, to the same degree, because like you're like you've been in situations like this before. Like you've seen people behave this way before.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like if you grew up in the war, like how you would react to seeing like roadkill versus like somebody who's never seen. That's a bad analogy, but anyway, but yeah, you know what I mean, right?
Yes, I mean, yeah, but I think that you said that people are going to want to earn credit and earn like trust, but what you can see now, it's I think this is easier to destroy something than to build something, and a lot of people are basing their their success on it, like Donald Trump, I think. Or I mean,
well, that's true. I
guess it really is it good to hope for the best, that it's going in the way of competition everything will be better, or maybe it will be worse? So for example, like this political correctness, at first it sounds great, some to control some stuff or self-control, but I noticed that very quickly that thing that was good, a lot of, I think maybe not a lot of, but I've seen bad people jump on the wagon of the good change to to basically to steal from it and to use it in a bad way.
Yeah.
Welcome to the history of mankind.
Like Kathy Newman? Anyone? No, I'm just sorry, but
Kathy Newman, I need to check.
No, was that her? Like that super crazy she had like a Jordan Peterson, the debate, and then she was like just super kind of trying to leverage this whole,
I didn't mean her. I'm thinking she's a completely different thing, but I meant the. I don't know if this is good to. I meant like for example Aris Asnari case, when I thought that this journalist wanted to be so much a part of something that she kind of sold her and his private story, which wasn't really an image, good illustration of the problem, but she wanted to be very much like one of those who are in that group. And so this is one of the ways, like so for example, like
so like people
there's that political correctness, and some people everything they understand from it is that you get a prize if you do that. So they don't do that because they would believe that. They do that because they know what's the price of being a good boy or good girl.
Yeah. No, but then don't people? But in this being the norm, and with all of the information that's out there and how easy it is to get to kind of like there are forums everywhere, like you would have to be super ignorant not to also get wind of that reality, right? Like that, oh boy, like it's kind of like a schoolyard sort of social system, like you know what you see through these people more because like you are accustomed to this phenomenon happening again and again, and you kind of are able to, right? Like it's not like
Well, actually,
everybody
I
sort of
never.
just mindlessly. But then I don't know. Like I
Of
think
course.
that's the thing though. Like maybe
Yes,
I
fine.
am being too optimistic. Like, or maybe I am kind of trusting too much in how all of these things will naturally balance themselves
I
out.
think you know what? I think that the result is that this is going to be very difficult to build a trust, positive trust, or I don't know. Maybe people will much more like group into, on one hand, believers of everything what's said, because
Hmm.
you. Okay, so if somebody is trying to falsify it, that means that this is it really false, or somebody doesn't like the message or want to, I don't know, destroy
Yeah.
our hero. And on the other hand, people who wouldn't believe anything what's said, and this is what is kind of happening now. Like a lot of this conspiracy theories, everything what starts to be a thing for a moment. Like let's fight against coronavirus. Even it's
Oh
immediately
yeah.
like immediately
Okay.
it's starting to be not a thing, because a lot of people start to think that this is conspiracy on different levels. Like you're completely crazy, maybe you believe that this is like reptilians, but then to the conspiracy of I don't know, well, this is not a thing and we overreact. Like this is the less of not believing that problem. So
Yeah.
it's instantly becomes like that. And at some point I'm really tired with listening to people in general and their opinions about stuff, because
Yeah.
it's sometimes I have an impression that there's not even one common denominator for what everybody is saying, because it's not based on one perception of the simplest facts, and then you
That's true.
can different in the interpretation. So for example, I'm talking with somebody, and especially that corona thing was like, well, suddenly somebody says that masks are not useful, then somebody says that they're useful, and I have my opinion on that, but it was also changing very often because we didn't know anything about this virus. But
Hmm.
finally, yeah, is there any like one version of the simplest facts? Like I don't know. It's hard to talk to somebody who takes their opinion from a completely different set of information, um, because I don't know, somebody likes
Yeah.
to choose these ones,
And
or for
that's the
example,
dangerous part, I
yeah,
think. Like it's the conviction. It's like it's the conviction that like that you would have on a on a bunch of like on information in an age where like there is no sort of buffer for this information. I mean, I think that it's sort of a matter of having to really be able to think critically in the face of all of this.
yeah,
And I don't know. I mean, I guess honestly, I wasn't thinking about like the recent events, but yeah, I mean, I guess like I would have thought that you sort of will. I mean, just as there are people who kind of like, for example, revolt against against like social distancing and things like that. I mean,
yeah,
there are also people in the same area who are like just absolute like in total disbelief, right? Like, I mean, I'm not even sure
yeah.
if statistically majority of the people in America, for example, really believe that that this is like this whole thing is bullshit. Like, I mean, it could just be that like, well, they're the ones that end up in the news. I mean, they're the ones that are being talked about. But I mean, how many people are like watching from the windows and just shaking their heads while sipping their coffee, muttering
Yeah.
like idiots
Yeah,
under
yeah,
their breath or something?
that kind of comes down to really like who do you believe, like where you
Yeah.
get your information from. I like regarding these latest corona events. For example, like you get this like contradictory signals from the media, especially like the people that are really maybe even overreacting the whole pandemic thing, and then there are the people that are really saying that this is just a conspiracy or something like that. And then at least I was able to, for example, like get some kind of like a first-hand information from people in Italy, because I had a friend in Italy who was really there where things were getting hot, and so I could get kind of like a first-hand information from a person I really trust, that he would not have any kind of like interest in giving me false information. So this way, yeah, it's kind of like easier for me to like get the thing seriously, because I know that a person who is who I can trust can verify this, that everything is really happening the way the media show, and yeah, but probably there are so many people right now who just like are kind of like stuck in this whole tube of internet or whatever, and they are really really easy to manipulate, and when they don't get this kind of like a critical tool set to really judge what's coming at you, because there will be things coming at you, like information that are deliberately yeah manipulated, and because this is kind of like a modern warfare right now.
Yeah.
Even like sort of we're hearing about this whole information war, cyber war, whatever. So this is kind of like a part of all this struggle between countries, between secret services and stuff like that, and this is really happening. And like the deep fakes probably is just like one tool for that, which
One
is
future tool.
maybe we're just worrying about all this scandal social media stuff, or that
Yeah.
someone can I don't know,
Yeah. No, but
blackmail you
noticed-
with something
Yeah,
crazy.
but
But
notice that let's say there are scandals coming with fake celebrity scandals where they didn't do something, it was manipulated. So the first result of it is that some people are going to be in trouble because of that, and the second effect is that in some cases where a real document of somebody doing something bad or wrong would be used or could be used in court or to show to the public, then people wouldn't believe it because there were so many other cases where it was manipulated. So then, well, you can
Well, but in court, like they would have to kind of
in court
like they would
finally
employ experts to figure out whether
yes. So that's the hope, and
it's kind of like the hope in reverse engineering, so to speak. Like there were like ways to cipher information, like even during the Second World War, like the whole Enigma thing, like breaking the code was really like the key to getting the right information.
The
So
Alan Turing stuff, or
whatever kind of like lock you invent, there's someone who's already working on the pick, to open it up. So
it just feels like we're just experiencing like a huge leap in what has always sort of like it's the same thing but to a vastly larger degree.
What is true?
I guess like DJ said earlier, like all of this is just, I mean, all of these things have been like our security like has been threatened this way. Like we've always been at the mercy of propaganda. It's just that today, like it's like we're even more at the mercy of propaganda, but we're also more equipped than ever to kind of shield ourselves from this propaganda if we take it upon ourselves to do so, like to really like try to be very vigilant and to be very level-headed about everything that's going on, and not to be swayed by some charismatic personality telling you like what you should or shouldn't believe.
Yeah, there's all that. So basically, somebody said that there's like the only cure for being infected by media or propaganda is another media. and another propaganda. So that because alone you cannot defend against it somehow, and this is true to I think to a big degree.
Yeah.
But then there's on that is another thing that people can have access to many point of views, but there's like human psychology, like this habit of believing and enforcing the first thing you heard over
Yeah.
another one, or being emotionally engaged in one thing and then so
But it's not like anyone has ever been able to escape that ever anyway. I mean, even nihilists are like like believe in something. They believe in that there's nothing to believe in. But then we're like we're always at the mercy of some kind of conjecture. And then like the most intellectual people can try to kind of elaborate on that conjecture to make it to convince, to argue for it being absolutely true, when really there is nothing, like there's no way to know for sure. I mean, so like the best we can do is sort of I guess like it's sort of like the scientific approach to everything, like you have to like you'll have to hold on to what would be the most likely truth until it's proven wrong, and you can't really be so attached to that truth and just sort of like live by it and reject anything else that might cause like make you investigate it again, because then I mean I think that's why like science has like a like there is that science is that going for it, like it's like like impartiality.
I think so, like a personal process of maturing. I mean, like when you're a 5-year-old, you believe in the dragon, and
Yeah.
you think this is a real story in I don't know, on the play you watch. Like kids wanted to like invade the stage because they thought that I don't know, princess is going to be killed in reality. Like, so and every year, every day, a lot of new people are born, and they have to learn, and then have to learn all these levels. And finally, I think when it comes to the for example, like the political issues and some ideological things, I think it's good to on one hand it's good to be like I will find it's good to be disappointed, but not at the level of being cynical. Like some people.
I think
so it's good. Yeah.
You could sum it up like I would sum it up like this. Like, I used to believe, like as a child, I believed that the tooth fairy existed. So I believed that there was this mythical, creature that was buying teeth from me, from under my pillow in my sleep, for example, right? And then I know, if only, right? But then I don't like, but now I'm older and I realize that the tooth fairy doesn't exist. But I appreciate, and that it was something that was like made up by my parents or whoever. Like it was some like lie that my parents were propagating. But I think fondly of those times because like for the sort of for the amount of like whimsy or like magical thinking I was allowed to live in for a while in my childish innocence, like I don't resent my parents because they lied to me like that, because because there is some, in that moment, in that time, like I like there were nights when I'd be like, maybe the pain, like the fear of like having a tooth knocked out of your face, like it was replaced by the excitement of you knowing that, oh, but now I have some more goods for the tooth fairy or whatever.
Yeah,
You're
like,
gonna
like
get
the true intentions of your parents were really
for being
Yeah,
very good.
and like
To
you have to
be
kind
good
of
and nice to you. Yeah. So,
yeah,
and,
so you
and
kind
now
of like
and now you're
you
older
believe.
and you can just like model the tooth fairy in Blender.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know,
But you
I
can
thought about
appreciate, the
this.
point is you can appreciate, like you can appreciate the motives behind it, and you can appreciate that they were made out of good intentions. I mean, I think it has to be like, versus being like, "God, you know, like fuck, everything's a lie," and you end up becoming the super edge lord because like you had this childhood trauma of realizing that the tooth fairy wasn't real. You know, it's just, yeah, it's like and I think
Sometimes
that
you believe too long in that, and then the
yeah, and maybe there's an
disappointment
attachment.
is.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't. I guess like, but I don't know. I mean, isn't that why? Like, isn't that what's so amazing about like art? Like
Yeah,
it's
you know
always a
what?
story. It's always a narrative that you know it's a lie, but you allow yourself to be lost in it for a while. You just know that like it's a simulation. It's not like you shouldn't. You know, like some dude writes a book that resonated with you when you were 15, and now it's your personal manifesto for the rest of your life. I mean, maybe not, right? But
Yeah.
but at least like you could allow yourself to, you could soak that in and live there for a while, knowing that eventually, like knowing that you're a tourist. You know, you don't have to become a hardcore, like you can
Believer
read.
of every reality
Yeah,
you are fed
yeah,
with.
like just
Yeah, but you know, I thought back because okay, so that was all went into the part of information, like raw information and stuff like that. But from the art part of view, it's, I think, this a gray area between true and false. It's very tempting and very interesting because
yeah.
if, I mean, artists are kind of manipulators, so you get, if
Yeah.
you can get kind of like some power of over people, of course, as you said, if you use it in a good intentions and uh, really in a good, for a good goal, then this area is fantastic. So for example, I like to play role play games, tabletop role play games.
Amen.
And at some point I played Work of Darkness because it was happening now in our times, but as if they were kind of more magical. And I like to take real politicians, real people from real life, and put them into a game. And so it was like the merge of that true reality and the fantastic reality. At some point, I think one of the tops of it was that one of the players who I played with, because I was the game master in this exact system, he with his character, he met himself as a person in the game, in the game
Cool.
field. Like he went to the city and said, "Hey, you are seeing this guy who looks that." And at some point he realized, "Hey, this is me." And I said, "Yeah, that's you." And so you are seeing yourself in this world, on this in this mirror world, but now you are playing the character. And so that was fantastic. I mean, like that was. And that was like the effect of merging those two realities, and that was, let's say, artistic and effect. I don't know if it has to be anything deeper than just having a thrill of going to that. Like, oh, I've never had this kind of experience of meeting me as a other person, and yeah, but from the artistic point, that area was fantastic. A lot of ideas, like a lot of ideas come from that point. So yes, so maybe it's like a tragedy or a big problem for the civilization, especially like journalism, to now learn a way how to deal with that. But for artists, this is like only a well of possibilities, because artists don't have to, I think, so much. It's like this point of view of Olga Tokarczuk, like she's an artist writer, so she she's even disappointed if somebody is asking her if this is true or not. So
Yeah.
so you don't have to claim the truth or not, or and yeah, this hesitation in people who are acquiring the information from you, that your art, that hesitation is like a source of gold. And I think that actually what she meant, it was like, at some level, if you are in your life or in your culture, you are really used to listening to stories, then hearing a story which you don't know if it's real or not, because that was a true concern of some person. She asked her that question. So be thinking if this is true or not is like a play on the level itself. Like this is a good, like, people like to exercise their muscles, and let's say that if you are a very good, I don't know, soccer player, or a very good, I don't know, snooker player, at some point you like to exercise some kind of scenarios because you are very good with it, or at least good enough to enjoy play on some higher level. Like this, that was a good game. I lost, but it was a fantastic tournament or fantastic play, because I saw some good skills in use. So
Right.
the same is
Yeah.
with wondering if this is a true story or not. Then for people who are used to listening to stories, maybe it's like you feel secure with the fact that you don't know if this is true or not, because I know maybe you have enough of your own experiences, and then you like to wonder, okay, like the whole idea of the book is, was it true or not? So maybe she meant that on this level, that maybe it should be more. I really don't know, but like, I think that she's right, and that person who asked her that question is also right, was also right in a way. But yeah, but for artists, this all the fake thing is like the practical consequences. Like, I noticed one thing, that there are a lot of artists who don't have access to real production tools and value. A lot of hobbyists or young people, or people who are not professionally doing something, or they don't have big budgets, and they would, for example, if you could make a movie in future with like, I don't know, Kevin Costner or whoever, and use the deep fake for that person to play in your movie. Well, it would be cool. On the other hand, it would be very, if you just stole it, and it would be, of course, on today's rules, it wouldn't be okay. But yeah, it's like it's, on the other hand, it would be like a tool to, I mean, finally, I think that, like, let's say, quote unquote, bad people are going to use it because they are not asking for permission, and good people, quote unquote, like some jazz artists, they're going to be hunted for such attempts. But it's going to be so often that you can really, even if you are Tom Cruise, you cannot go for everybody who used your face in some deep fake at some point, I think. So it will be like given up to some degree.
Unless it becomes sort of like recognized as a practice employed by, like, recognized as a despicable practice, period. So that if, like, you did make a movie featuring like some like high status, like, actor or whatever, like that already sort of gives the impression that, like, oh, you're gonna try to leverage like this, this particular star to kind of elevate your movie, draw more attention to it. The same way how, like, how like you look for like a particular movie trailer, and then there's like so many videos of like this trailer, like that says like this and that movie trailer, 2020 or whatever, and then so like you can't find what the actual trailer was because everyone's made like some fake edit, and
Yeah.
it's just like, oh,
Yeah,
please, like what are you
there's stuff
trying to?
like
Yeah, it's just so like it's like just so you get the initial clicks or I don't know what, but it's just so like, oh, like why would you why would you even bother? But
yeah,
but then yeah, I guess it's
but like there's Lord of the Rings, a very old book, and the rights of the rights, the copyrights were extended. A lot of stuff has copyrights which were extended in last several decades because to keep taking money from that, because for example, yeah, that, like new movies appear or there's some franchise, and like stealing a face from somebody, from Tom Cruise or another actor, I think it would have to be kind of like I don't say like black market, but this kind of things which are not officially done. They're like on the they can be done because finally nobody cares, and if
yeah.
they are done in enough professional way, then owners of these faces would care. And this is like going back to that thing with these people who believe they lose their faces when they are their pictures taken.
Yeah.
I thought that because we would say, well, why they care, right? But it sounds like, I mean, from objectively, they are more ready to live in our times of Facebook and stuff like that than we are, because they say no to that. Oh no, this is my face, and this is
Oh
communicating
shit.
what this is my face and my like
Yeah.
trustworthy to me. This is me. This is my identity, which I use to mark all my messages. And I'm not going to give away this like stamp of truth to you, and you are not going to take my picture and
Whoa,
use
that
it
is
for whatever.
deep shit, man. I mean, yeah, because like on a metaphorical sense, maybe they were right, right?
Yeah, I mean, for example, in times of photography, maybe that wasn't a problem. But notice that would they agree to upload their picture on some Facebook, where a lot, if they understood, well, a lot of people would see that, and I mean, it's even worse than taking a picture. It's like they
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen with that, but they take the, I don't know, the worst scenario, and those worst scenarios are now become real because somebody can use it in any way, and then yeah, like steal your soul identity to sell something, or to, I don't know, put you in trouble, or just I don't know. So they wouldn't have Facebook accounts, I think, with this approach.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Or for sure they would upload they would create some avatars, but I don't think they would upload their own pictures
Yeah.
to social media.
Yeah.
And also the second thing is that, like, it was so long that Facebook stuff, like, you were wise to not upload your pictures, but a lot of people were not so wise, and at some point they grew up to not like this idea, or some stuff started happening that didn't happen before, which, I mean, people are more aware of the problems with social media and that uploading all your information, and
Yeah.
they would like to opt out from that, and it's too late. It's like, the only thing you can get finally is like promise of some company that they deleted your information. But this is
Yeah.
so, you don't get the deletion. You get the promise, and it looks the same if they, in the case they did it or they didn't. So
Yeah.
finally, So you cannot, like, cancel it. Everything that went there is there forever, and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
For
So
sure.
I thought that because that program for deepfakes, it's called Deep Face Lab, and it's free as far as I know.
Hmm.
And I think I would I think some guys tried it on our desktop servers,
Oh, really?
and yeah, for sure some guys tried doing some deepfake stuff on our desktop servers. And I know that this Deepface Lab needs many GPU cards, and I think I didn't have time to do this week, but I would try it on the desktop this week, and next week I will tell you guys if you can use this program on desktop, because it looks like it matches the needs of this program, match what the desktop GPU servers provide. So
That sounds cool.
It would be good to, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see this Corridor Gang deepfake of Tom Cruise?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
The mask, the paper mask, deepfake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious. I mean, this guy also, I like this guy who was
Impersonator.
yes,
Yeah.
he wasn't very familiar with this technology, so he was really surprised. But it looks like he enjoyed it because this is what he was doing. So it was like, I mean, he really was like Tom Cruise, almost 100% for 30 seconds. That at this point it was really like the top of the dream of every impersonator, that you really had the face of this person.
So guys,
Yeah.
you have to prepare to be very critical to the next episodes, because you can experience some deep fakes from Andrew. So you don't really get DJ Andrew and Marco, but whatever you believe.
Oh yeah. Finally, somebody will put their. But I thought about this artificial intelligence thing, and because there was. I think this is a good idea for one of the next episodes, because there's a lot of interesting material about it. For example, Andrew Price has a lecture about it, very interesting. There's
Oh,
also
you mean
it's about
AI and the future of...
AI in CG, and actually it is again what we talked about. There was a example of an artist who, like, there will be more procedural models created in future, should be with this technology, rather than manually created, for example, buildings, right? There will be more creators, right? Like, create animal, create building, create car, and you just move some values, and it like spits out the ready model. And so there, and he showed some examples of stuff people do in Houdini, for example, and like an old building creator. And this is very interesting. But like in artificial, so I thought, okay, so like artists are so much marginalized in this process, but finally there is one thing that human has to do, is to validate it, because this is how the artificial intelligence is finally learning. That finally a human has to watch on it and say, that looks the way I believe it, or I like it.
No, and I
then
think...
it's
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to say. I mean, I try to figure out where is the key to say that we are still needed, and for sure we are needed for that. And this is also a key thing in the learning of AI, which a lot of people don't know yet. I think that it's not learning just based on just learning. It has to ask us, hey, does it look good, or am I going in the good direction? Yes, okay, I'm going to do more of that. This is how it's learning and going to some point.
Yeah, and even if the learning, like, even if the deep learning becomes much deeper in the future, it's like there will also be sort of a new prerogative to outdo it somehow, especially in the creative fields. I mean, like, for instance, like you could get for example, like the whole like portraitai.com thing, right? Like you could like you can have your selfie converted into like a 15th century painting, um, like a variety of different styles, uh, in a pretty like, I mean, it like obviously I guess because like a lot of like they started with 15th century paintings from Europe, like you will be sort of Caucasianized, if that's a word, like inevitably, because it takes like proportion and the way, you know, like certain features of the face are articulated,
Oh.
like the brow ridge or the nose bridge or whatever, that are distinctly Caucasian, and then kind of interpolate that with your face. So you kind of, if you're not Caucasian, you will look like somebody sort of tried to paint you into like a Caucasian, you know. But um, that's just because of the information that they were able to feed the AI at the time, and like based on based on, you know, like the amount of variations they give you basically are very, I mean, it's pretty nuanced. Like you can really kind of imagine like any of the converted portraits as being painted by someone from the 15th century, but following a different school, maybe a different style. There are even
Yes.
some
So far. But you know what?
Yeah.
I thought that, you know, some people will not. For some people, like for example, you go to Rome, and I would see trips of people, and some of people would say, "Wow, this is all ancient," and it's like, it's not all ancient. The first thing is that some of the stuff is ancient, some of the stuff is from Middle Ages, but they are not very educated, so for them it's all ancient from the like new, like young Rome to the old Rome to the Byzantium to
Mhm.
the Middle Ages. It's all ancient, and they are unable to really
Like distinguish, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that, and this is the same with distinguishing between like a cheap fake of some style and like a deep fake of some style, like
Oh yeah, of course, but it kind of puts into question the whole, because like you could go into another discussion about like does that mean that art is only for the educated? Like does that mean that like the compelling, you know, like the compelling properties of like these paintings are lost on the general populace? Like I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm just saying like you can go there, you know, like it can kind of, you can kind of present that as a, I mean, the point being, like the AI is effective enough to kind of like create like replicas of these styles based on the information that they were fed from paintings from that era, from all of the styles associated with that era, I suppose, in Europe, I guess, you know. But
I think that this is that part of the human reaction. So, for example, you will give this. You will at some point you would give these images created by AI to somebody who is really educated and have a really good eye for the styles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he would decide, or she would decide, is this close enough, or which one is closer. And if it will be taught by such a specialist, it will gain a higher level of proficiency in achieving that style.
Exactly.
People
True.
who would be under this level, for them it would be indistinguishable.
True.
Only for the like to this level of the person who was that validator, the highest validator, like the highest I don't know how to call it, with the highest level of understanding it.
Yeah. And who's to say that those validators aren't just gonna be biased against the AI because they don't want to lose their jobs? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm
but
just kidding.
You know what?
Kidding.
Maybe it will be a very better job to teach AI art than
to kind
people
of
on the university. Like,
well,
you are
maybe
the best specialist of Mediterranean, I don't know, Middle Ages painting in the world. Are you going to work on university, or you are joining the gang of I don't know, painting like people who create. Oh, that's okay. It can be positive or negative, right? But
Yeah.
do you want to join and learn our fantastic AI for like, I don't know, thousands of dollars an hour, or these students who sleep on your lectures? So
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
that's a
Or a
good
gang
point.
of professional falsificators of pictures, like people who
Like art forgers, you know.
yeah, yes, exactly, yeah.
Actually, I think an
So
art forger would be a good counter to like a scholar. A scholar could do it, but like an art forger, like someone who's made their living on like creating like indistinguishable replicas by really breaking down individual styles. That's
yeah,
insane. There's a guy who actually like put up a series once who like he kind of hosts like these art competitions, but he was like a convict for doing like crazy art forgery. Like but when he talks about like a particular art painter's like style or whatever, like he's got it down. I mean, it was a pretty fascinating thing.
he would
But
be a good validator for artificial
yeah,
intelligence.
yeah.
I mean validator. I don't know if this is a good word, but
No, yeah,
but the teacher.
yeah. No, but I think that, but I wonder if like, you know, I mean, is that, because some people might not find that enough of a consolation. I mean, like the, so much of, so much of, so much of any, like it's a practice, right? Like any kind of form of art is a practice. And so much of that practice goes into sort of, like these milestones that are just so embedded in the history of the practice, like painting your first successful portrait as by your, you know, by the standards you set for yourself, for example, like painting your first successful portrait as an oil painter, or as a sculptor, like creating your first successful bust. I mean, it 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 makes you wonder. I mean, that obviously that applies to CG as well, right? Like your first successful, I don't know, like monster sculpture, or your first successful, you know, like the thought that you put into creating like the most efficient and like pleasing topology, for example, behind behind a particular prop or something like that. Like there's a lot of joy in that practice also. There's a lot of like
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Oh,
like some people so like what about that? Like what, like what's that going to be like?
I think that I think, you know what, I think that artificial intelligence, because this is all like mimicry. I don't know how to call it. Like this is like almost animal skill of animal who's pretending another one, and it doesn't have to understand anything. Just it's efficient. So, like for example, you are drawing a painting, and
Mhm.
all your life experiences and your parts of human psychology are behind that. Like everything you live through is that in that painting at this point, and the artificial intelligence have none of them, but it like this is that deep learning that we cannot even go into this deep learning process and find the way why and how it figured out to fake you, but by this deep learning stuff, it doesn't, our AI doesn't have to understand itself or be aware of it, or even know some rules to just go to the point of faking you in a way good enough for somebody, for some human or somebody else to assess. So in terms of the look of something or the sound of something, uh, so this is, I think this is also, this is interesting, like to ask the question for somebody who is into AI, like engineer, how much of the really teaching the AI is possible, like in the old school way, like the deep blue, like teaching really rules of painting. So if deep learning plus classic education would
Oh,
create like much more efficient deep AI with deep fakes or like creating
yeah.
anything. So
Actually, what like an interesting, I think an
left
interesting,
right brain.
an interesting like uh I guess like accomplishment AI could aspire like strive to is to try to artificially sort of mm, to somehow be able to simulate humor because
Oh,
because humor is like um
tough stuff.
in the first place it's very like how are you going to like how are you going to be able to how are you going to reverse engineer what makes like a particular joke land really well, for example, if if you have to go through first all of the different types of humor there are, and then all of the
Finally,
types of like all of the types of
context or whatever.
yeah, like all of the different contexts
Cultural.
the joke might find itself in, and then and like how you're going to kind of you'll have to like almost in real time kind of become aware of
It would be
like
end up
modern
with
events, you know.
I think that that the AI is like a evolutionary thing because basically the attempts which are wrong are just thrown away. So this is like they die. So
Yeah,
those which
like very
they fight for
Darwinian.
this, yeah, they fight for the survival. Basically, it's like if artificial intelligence is making a joke, it's like either make me laugh or I'm going to kill you.
Or
Like
die.
this is yeah, and fun or die. Like just and
Yeah.
I think that it would probably figure out very quickly that the best ones are fart jokes because everybody laughs at them, and that would be the safe shot of probably
Or
if you
maybe it would end up in the AI and auto annihilating, killing itself, like with this killer joke from Monty Python. But this had to be like developed by each, right? Like I think who a translator, one
yeah.
word each, because if you hear too much of the joke, it's threatening.
Yeah, it would create the best joke ever. at least at the point of it's like the best joke ever. Whoever would hear that joke would laugh his or her ass off. I think probably it would be something with farting and falling down, or I don't know, whatever, something like that. Like some very universal thing.
So it comes
Yeah.
down that all this, deep learning and AI just gets down to farts.
Yeah, like
In the end.
on
That would be
Facebook.
that would be the best joke of all.
Yeah,
The
but
testament of our intellect as a species is like
and civilization.
fart jokes.
Golden fart joke on the golden recorded on the platinum DVD and put in some tom, and then
Yeah.
this is this is the ultimate goal. But this
And then
just there was that like artificial intelligence which turned racist after having interacting with some people on Facebook, I think, or somewhere there.
what?
But people were, yeah. But I mean, it basically tried to mimic that conversation, like that test of mimicking a real person, and people would on purpose say some racist stuff to kind of destabilize this artificial person to give them like such experiences and rewards to become racist, and it became very quickly racist. Just the question is if this is because this is how people are, or this is just it was really on purpose. The on purpose is more positive interpretation. Like,
Yeah.
but another is like it had to happen because this is how people are. So yeah, so that was also the experiment of finding the most, I don't know, whatever enjoyable answer from this artificial intelligence. It was not a joke this time, But yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I think we're headed for like a very confrontational sort of, like, the human race is going to have a very confrontational sort of bull session with itself when all of these machines when all of this like artificial intelligence reaches its peak.
Yeah.
We're building our own sort of like tinted mirror, you know. And when we finally look into it, like, I'm not sure how we'd react, honestly.
I don't know. We will sit in armchairs and say, "I like it. I don't like it."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You ever wonder like how sometimes like it's funny because it's like everyone now is like a personal, like, you can kind of picture everyone as like a Caesar type figure, like sitting on like a marble throne in like a digital,
yeah.
you know, like a digital amphitheater, and then you just kind of, yeah, you just got thumbs up, thumbs down. That's it. Like, you just kind of, you're just presented with all of this shit, and then you're just like, oh yes, I approve. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, like artificial intelligence creating whole universes for your yes or no entertainment. Like,
Yeah.
it's boring. This universe.
Yeah.
Create another one.
Oh man, like, okay, so if you're into sort of this kind of, you know, I mean, this is for you guys and the listeners, like, you should really check out the Midnight Gospel on, if you have Netflix, or if you can get hold of the series any other way. It's essentially that, like, it's like an animated series that's built around sort of like this podcast format that goes into some pretty wild territory, like both visually and in terms of the conversation. Check it out. It's called the Midnight Gospel.
Okay, we're going to give from the episode 7, so from the last episode, if you were listening to that, we are giving the links to all the things we mentioned, so you can, I think this is cool to
oh yeah,
you know, to stuff you can check on and you know, do your own like clicking journey through the internet, and if you would like to read more about it, or say find it easier to know what we meant.
And if you want to leave us a link or for something to comment, feel free to share on the comments wherever
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can.
If
To
you
give your best AI fart jokes that you have.
yeah, I mean, whatever comes to your mind and you have some kind of like connotations with what we say on whatever media we are publishing this podcast, yes, please post it, because yeah, I also would be think it would be great to find something interesting that came to your mind when you were listening. Maybe we'll also take it and make a next episode about it.
yeah.
So it would be great.
Okay, well,
And check on Texas Stop.
oh yeah,
week
right. Like, try to, yeah.
Next
Are you
week
really
I'll
gonna
try
do that?
to show
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I'll check how it works on the Xstop. I don't know how much work it needs, because I'm going to like spend days on it, but I will check if at least it runs and creates some output.
Cool. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that we're an hour and 30 in already, so this might be just about the time to kind of end this particular episode, which we sort of like tried to start with deep fakes and then just ended up, you know, but with a very interesting but multifaceted, not necessarily CG related conversation, which is cool. So yeah, like I think that's it for this this episode, and I guess if you're listening, thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.